I hope everyone hear that sound. So we are recording the video, and I definitely will make sure that I will send it to everyone. So let me.
Bangladesh Hydro Ravi Shankar इसमें अजय संग अजय
Let me mute everyone. Okay, I have muted everybody. And let's get it started. So I have prepared some documents for you so that you can refer to them later on. And I will share this documentation to you as well as video. So the first one is ENC edited PowerPoint, which we created a couple of years ago, how to work with our editor itself. I will be running it from time to time just to show you some stuff there. Also, I will share to you the terms about the S57 chart stuff, then a description of symbols. Let's say, for example, this guy here. Unless you already have it, of course. So this document is quite nice because it tells every single symbol, like point symbols and area symbols. For example, anchorage area, like point at a small scale, anchor points, and so on and so forth, describing the symbol itself, how it's used, and all that stuff. So this document is quite useful, I believe, for ENC chart stuff. Also, there is S57 standard for digital hydrographic data. Maybe it can be useful for you as well. And the PowerPoint itself. So I'm going to share these documents later on after we complete the training as a reference for you. Now, I believe that Mr. Rajesh Verma, he has shared to me your own data. I believe it's some port here as a DXF drawing. This one is quite complicated. I'm not going to create a full ENC chart over this area because it's going to take, I don't know, a week. So I will just show you the basics, how to create different symbols, how to create different features of the chart, S57 chart for you, so that you know how to proceed with that. And also, Mr. Rajesh Verma has shared to me the bathymetry data over here. And I will show you how to import this bathymetry data into S57 chart, and also how to import the contours made based on this data into S57 chart. All right. If you have questions again, please ask your questions in the chat. So let's get it started. I want to run a presentation first, just to show you some basics there. Yes. So in HiPAC, ENC editor is a program which allows you to first modify existing S57 charts. So if you have any already, you can open it up in ENC editor and edit it, like move the features on the chart, change the attributes of the features and all that stuff. You can also create a new S57 chart. This is what we're gonna do right now. Then you can add sounding overlays for S57 chart. By overlay, I mean an extension of S57 chart. So it's like not incorporated in the chart itself. It's like an addition to a S57 base chart, right? You can do a validation of S57 charts. You can digitize GeoTIFF files. In our case, it's going to be DXF. We're going to use the DXF chart, which you already have. We will digitize it and make S57 chart out of this DXF chart. Also, you can export S57 features into a DXF file. So to launch ENC editor, it's under final products in the main Hypec shell, and it's called ENC editor. Just so that you know that ENC editor, S57 charts, they keep all the data on WGS84 ellipsoid. So all the data they are georeferenced to a WGS84 coordinate system. In the editor, there are a few windows there. So it's an object manager window. This is the main window where you create the objects, where you add objects and all that stuff. Then the map display, the biggest window, so we can manipulate with the objects of the chart in this map window. There is a clipboard, because we will often use the clipboard to copy some, let's say, specials into the clipboard. Then we can paste them into the features in the object manager window. So this is quite useful stuff. We will often use this one. In the display, in the map display of the ENC editor, you can manipulate between showing the specials and the features. Before we proceed any further, let me tell you something about this stuff, like special and the feature. The special, it's a number of coordinates of either it's a point, either it's a line, or it's an area. So the special is the set of coordinates. Let's say it's a point special. So that's just a pair of coordinates, X and Y, well, lat and lon actually, right? Then another special is the line. Other words, we can say chain. So the chain is the chain of individual points. So it's a chain of XY coordinates to describe linear feature. And finally, there is an area. It's a closed chain, which describes the polygon. Again, special, it has no other information, it's just a set of coordinates. I often refer to the special as the skeleton. So it's just the skeleton, nothing on it. And another type of objects in ENC is the feature. Feature, I call it cartographic object. It can be, again, point, line, or area, and it's like a description of this object. Let's say point, the feature can be a buoy. So it's like, let's say, conical, I don't know, lateral buoy, green buoy, but the feature doesn't have any coordinates on it. So the main task for the people who create an S57 chart is to create a feature, so let's say buoy, and a special, let's say X and Y coordinates of a point, and then match those two together, feature and special, to appear this object on the chart. So feature and special, all right? So these two basic types of the objects in ENC, electronic nautical chart. I'll go ahead and we will do the practical example how to create the soundings and all that stuff here. Well, not create, sorry, import the soundings. Let's do some practical things here. For those who has Hypec, please run Hypec and open up this project, which I have. I believe that Mr. Rajesh Verma has already this project. So gentlemen, please open up that HiPAC and open the project, which has this drawing1 DXF and 25.xyz file. Please enable that. Drawing DXF, we will start with that, okay? If you need time, please raise your hand or type plus in the note, in the chat, so that I know that I need to wait for you, all right? I don't want to be in much hurry. We have enough time for that. So if you need time, please click plus button in the chat so that I know that you need some time, all right? I don't ask everyone to repeat my steps, but if you can, that would be much better. So if you do something with your hands, it's better for you. I'll give you 5 minutes to prepare yourself. While you're reading yourself, let's have a look at the DXF chart that you have as a background. We will gonna use it in ENC editor as a background to digitize your own S57 chart. So let's see. I believe this DXF drawing, it has lines, it has the text labels. There are some aids to navigation, so we can digitize some point features, MICT and curve. This DXF objects, I believe you don't have area objects here. Birth. I think those are planet lines, I guess, for the birth survey. I don't know. Then if I open up this drawing DXF, I can see that you have, okay, that's a port backup area. Thank you very much, Mr. Verma. So you have different layers for different objects here. Later on, I will show you an option in ENC editor where you can actually import some DXF drawings into ENC editor. These drawings should have quite strict rules to follow if you want to import these DXF features into S57. So right now I will start with just importing DXF chart, this one, into an ENC editor as a background, not as a features, but as a background. So we can digitize on top, all right? So this is how we start with that. Oh, please run ENC editor. So it's under final products, ENC editor. To run ENC editor, you don't have to have a special type of the HiPEC license. ENC editor is available for people who have HiPEC Max key or license or HiPEC Office license. So if you have, for example, HiPEC Survey, you cannot run final products at all, right? If you have HiPEC Lite, you are not able to run ENC editor as well because no final products are included in Lite except export. And the same about HiPEC Ultralight, about HiPEC other reduced packages. So just to reiterate, if you have HiPEC Max license or HiPEC Office license, you can run ENC editor. So you don't need to have a special license for ENC editor. All right. So let's run this guy. Let me make it maximum. Let me maximize this guy. So as I said, you can load existing S57 chart here, or you can create a new one. So you can do some addition of existing ones, or you can create a new chart. So this is what we're gonna do right now. We're going to create a new S57 chart, ENC. Before we do that, what we start with when we create a new chart, we need to know the boundary of a new chart. Your boundary can be fixed, like you have a list of ENC charts, boundaries. Usually it is, like in every country, there is a cartographic, let's say cartographic office, and they have a list of predefined boundaries of the charts. So you don't have to create, develop your own boundaries. Well, there is a list. But in our case, I don't have this list for India, definitely. So I'm going to create my background chart, background chart, S57 chart with manually entered boundaries for this. And to do so, I may want to show existing background chart here, just to know where my S57 chart will be. So to do that, we can display it. On the display background charts, you can add here as a background, you can add here almost any background file that's supported by HiPEC itself. It can be GeoTIFF, it can be GeoPDF, it can be image file, JPEG 2000, for example. It can be shape file, ArcGIS file, and it can be DXF or DWG. So in our case, we have the DXF file. So on the background file dialog, which is accessible from the display menu, let's use this little icon, load charts. Under here, on the file of type, you can pick up the format of your chart, which you want to use as a background. In our case, it's AutoCAD file, DXF, and it's over here. It's in the project. You can open up any file laying in any folder within the network, local network on your computer. In my case, I put it into the project itself. So it's the drawing one DXF. Now it's over here. And it's over here for me. If you don't find it, you can try to use Zoom Extends button over here, these black arrows here. Based on this Zoom Extends button, it shows me that your chart is having some, I don't know, some feature in 00 coordinate. Maybe that was some kind of, I don't know, textual description of the DXF file or something. and it goes to 0, 0 coordinate. It's actually over here. So we can use right click of the mouse in the main map window here in ENC editor to change the location. And you can use scrolling button on a mouse to zoom in into the area which you want to look at. So right now I have zoomed it in so that I can see my chart, background chart, DXF background chart, so that I can work with this area. All right. So that's the full port. Okay. So now I have zoomed in to this area. There is a nice option here in this background chart to draw it after ENC chart, because when I start digitizing the chart, ENC, I want to see what am I doing. If you do not check this theme, then the background would be on top of your ENC. So you won't see what you're doing there, all right? So with this option, I tell the program to put my DXF in the background. So it's gonna be drawn after ENC chart, all right? So that option is quite nice. Always use that one if you're digitizing your S57 chart, base it on some, I don't know, GeoTIFF or DXF. Now DXF is not raster image, so it's easier, but still, of course, it's better to draw it after ENC, right? Also, there is another option here, which is quite useful, especially if you have an image as a background, let's say GeoTIFF. You can change its transparency. It doesn't work for DXF, but if it's a GeoTIFF, it's better to change its transparency so it's like semi-transparent for you, all right? Now we're done here. You can always try to refresh the image. If you see some glitches, I don't know, you may try to refresh the image. Also, you can unload this chart if you don't like it. Like if you selected a wrong background, you can unload it from here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Everyone can hear me. Anyone can hear me?
Yes, sir, we are hearing you.
Okay, good. Because Mr. Rajesh Verma said that he has lost my voice. I don't know. I believe that my voice is still here.
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Good. Mr. Verma, please check your dynamics. Maybe something wrong with your dynamic, with your audio. Yeah, I believe there is something on Mr. Rajesh Verma computer. He's lost my voice. I don't know. One, two, three. What about now, Mr. Verma? Can you hear me now? That's quite a pity because I want you to hear me, of course. Hmm. What's the meaning of instruction voice? I believe everybody else is can hear me, right? So it's only the problem on Mr. Verma computer. Mhm. Thank you, Yadav. Yes. Good. I'm loud and clear. Nice. Thank you very much, Mr. Yadav. I'm loud and clear. Yeah. Sometimes I can have problems with my microphone here on this laptop, but usually it works well. Well, but you never know. Mr. Verma, you still have problems?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Now I can hear you, sir.
Wonderful. That's a good news. Thank you very much. Let's continue then. All right. Good. So next step, we have a background now in ENC editor, which is nice. Sometimes some DXF backgrounds, they are so complicated. For example, HiPAC, I know it based on my experience. HiPAC doesn't like hatched areas, you know, hatched objects from DXF, from AutoCAD. Please mute yourself if you don't mind, or I can mute you from here. Mute all. This chart is okay. I believe it doesn't have any hatched areas. It has the polylines, I think, multiple segment lines and the textual objects, which are fine for HiPAC to open up. All right. So we have that background. I have zoomed it in. Now I can close this background chart dialog. You can always reopen this dialog later on by going to display background charts. If you want, for example, to disable it. All right. So let me close down this background chart dialog. And now it's time to create a new S57 chart. So under the browser over here, this browser has 3 tabs here. Charts tab, where you manipulate with the S57 chart itself. So you can open up an existing one, you can create a new one. You can set up the properties of the chart and update the chart and all that stuff from here. Now we have features tab here. Remember, I mentioned it at the beginning that there are 2 basic types of the cartographic objects in ENC. It's a feature, so it's kind of cartographic object which doesn't have any coordinates on it, but it has the description of the object like boy. And we have specials. Those are just set of the coordinates of the points, either chains, so it's point connected with each other. So we start with a new chart. A new chart in the Charts tab on the browser. As I said, if you are a cartographic agency, you should have a list of the boundaries of your charts so that you just type it in here. And the format here, like it can be either degrees, minutes, seconds, or it can be degrees, minutes, or it can be degrees. Let's say instead of 43 million degrees, 37 minutes, 55 seconds, you can set 43 and whatever. Just don't forget to type the hemisphere. And based on this number, program will recognize what's the format is. So you don't have to type degree sign, you don't have to type the minute sign or second sign. Program will understand based on the number of spaces between the numbers, what format is it. But I want to set it with a cursor. So I'm gonna hit this set with a cursor button. And now I know that my chart is gonna cover this area. So I can type just one point and another point over here diagonally, and program will create the rectangular area based on these 2 points. All right. It's much safer to create this chart from the cursor by clicking just 2 points. If you try to click 4 points, technically speaking, 3 points, 1, 2, 3, no, 4, of course. Then program, you can create the, skew with chart, which is not good. So I prefer to use 2 points diagonally and click OK. Now the program is driving me to the create new chart dialog. And the product specification, you can tell the program what kind of object, well, what kind of chart is gonna be here, like just ENC S57 format, or it can be inland electronic nautical chart, or it can be MFF, Maritime Foundation Facilities, routes, and all that stuff. I always use just this guy, S57. So it's just pure S57 chart. Now the dataset name, let me show you little guy here. Let me quickly go to something else here. Let's say this is Ukrainian S57 chart here. And you can see its name, UA, so it's Ukraine. And it has these numbers here, like 2T3101. So it means that this chart is here. So in the ideal world, if you are a cartographic agency, well, you can see a Mercator thing here, by the way. It's not rectangular. It's a little bit like a skewed thing because it has boundaries of geographical coordinates. All right. So this is what the chart is looking like, real one. So it has this name, UA, and some identifiers over there. Okay, I'm gonna go back to your project here. So dataset name, you just double click on the item in the list to open up the dialog for you to set up the parameter or attribute. Let me call it properly. It's called attribute of the chart. All right. So let's say that dataset name attribute. We give it a name. Let's say it's India. And there should be some numbers. I don't know the numbers in your area, so I just put it Adani. All right. No, just Adani. Okay, I'll call it like this. IN, no spaces should be there. Adani, and let's say the year 2021. So we put this dataset name. Actually, it should be proper dataset name. Issue date. By default, the program will use the date set in your computer clock, in your system clock. So by default, it's correct. Like today is November 9, 2021. You can change it. You can change it, but never change the format. So you can see that this is appropriate format for S57. It's year, month, and date without any spaces, anything between. So that's the code of this attribute. So don't put the wrong one. Okay. Now the production agency. I don't believe that Adani Port Authority is a certified ENC editor. So I don't think there is Adani here in the list. But I believe there should be some Indian cartographic stuff. I don't know, like Bangladesh, I don't know. Indian National Hydrographic Office, for example. I don't want to put anything because we are not certified creators right now. So I just put 0 here, so default value, which means unidentified creator. All right. Now intended usage. Again, default is overview, but you know the nautical charts, they divided by different, they divided by the types of intended usage based on the scale of the chart. All right. So overview, I believe it's 100,000 and bigger. I think our chart is more like harbor. So it's between, I believe, between 10,000 and 100,000 something. So let's say it's a harbor. Now you pick up horizontal datum. As I said, default setting for S57 chart is to have WGS84 coordinate system, but you can set up the local ones. I never do that. I usually leave it default S57 datum, WGS84. Now there is a vertical datum. So what vertical datum do you use for this chart here? Default is mean sea level. What level do you have, gentlemen? Please type it in a note so that we can enter your proper vertical datum here. Mr. Verma, you mean chart datum? Yes, what is your chart datum? You see that the like lowest low water, lowest astronomical tides, Indian spring low water, approximate mean. So you just select which one is appropriate for your area. Default is mean sea level. Let me leave just default one, but keep in mind that local datum can be different from mean sea level. Mean sea level is default, all right? Now there is an option to enter a sounding datum. For example, you have some bathymetry surveys data and you incorporate this bathymetry into your S57 chart, then you may have different datums. You may have chart datum as mean sea level and the sounding datum, let's say you refer your soundings to port datum, which is some local datum, so you can have them different. In this case, let me just put the same. It's better to keep them the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and set the same mean sea level over here, all right? Now the source scale, as you see, default one is 100,000. So it's for overview charts, but I'm gonna go ahead and create 10,000 scale, all right? So I set it to 10,000. Lowest low water. Okay, thank you very much. So let's change this vertical datum to lowest low water. And I'm gonna use the same sounding datum, lowest low water. Thank you very much. Now the depth units are in meters, of course. I hope in India it's the same. And the length, so horizontal units also in meters. Coordinates units always lat long. As I said, S57 chart is keeping all these specials with lat long, not X and Y, latitude and longitude, right? What else? Nothing else here. So we set up the attributes of a new S57 chart. We can click OK now. Now it's here. Now I need to see where is it. I don't see it here. Program is always using some kind of, I don't know, some kind of zoom, which I don't understand really. So the easiest way for me to see where my chart is, this one doesn't do anything. I go back to background chart and I just use zoom extends here. Here is my chart over there. Here it is. So that's the new S57 chart, and the only thing that you see, you can see the special describing the area of this new S57 chart. Okay, I'm going to close this background. I don't need these dialogues right now. That's a good question. For this coordinate multiply factor, well, let's see parameter here. This one is a tricky one. It's like a coefficient which will multiply X and Y, lat and lot coordinates. This is unimportant for the scales of, let's say, 10,000 and more, like 10,000, 100,000. This doesn't matter. But if you try to create, let's say, a birthing chart, let's say 1000 scale chart, then you may need to reduce this number by 10, okay? So default is 1 million. You can reduce it to 100,000. If you are creating a large or small scale charts like 1000 scale, 2000 scale, then you need to, it is advised to change this multiplication factor from 1 million to one number less, so 100,000, all right? Just leave it by default to 1 million, unless you want to create a new chart with 1000 scale or 2000 scale. 10,000 scale, multiplication factor is default 1 million. The same about soundings. You can convert your soundings, let's say, from meters to centimeters. Then you may decrease this multiplication factor to 10 to go from meters to centimeters. Well, nobody is doing that. So 100 is just default here for sound and multiplication factor. Okay. So let's go back to our chart here. It's a new chart now. It doesn't have anything but the boundaries over here. Let's have a look at the features tab here in the browser. You can see that's the coverage of our chart, these blue lines over here. And the quality of data. In ENC, there is a zone of confidence stuff. They call it ZOC. So zone of confidence is like, how confident are you about the soundings, about your bathymetry data? And they have several zones of confidence, like zone A, ZOC A, it's the soundings made by echo sounder with the GPS position on it, and you are fully, it's fully appropriate to S44 standard. And if it is, you can pick up data quality A. The quality B, I believe it's like the soundings are provided by echo sounding technique, but the accuracy is unestimated. So it's like you are not certified to do IHO category surveys, all right? Then quality C, I believe it's like measured by someone who doesn't know what is it and just gave me this soundings. So it's like not so good quality. Then D is, I believe, it's just like reported by somebody. For example, Fisherman has told you, okay, the depth here is about 10 meters plus or minus. So it's like bad quality of the data. And E is actually like historical data. Let's say from Marco Polo has put the dog here and he knows it's 20 feet. All right, so it's like historical, you cannot verify it, you don't know the accuracy, so this the last one. And finally, it's not evaluated at all. All right. Category of zone of confidence. Again, let's say confidence A1, we are fully estimating these soundings and we stand for the sound for each sounding in this area. So zone of confidence A1, all right? Then you can set up all these attributes. I don't want to set up them all, but you can go ahead here and go through each of these attributes and set it up, everyone. I don't want to tell you everything here. Just check it later on, all right? Now let's have a look at the specials which we have right now. Right now we have one chain special. You can see the special over here. It's a blue line delineating our area of the chart. And you can see a C node. C node stands for connecting node. So this means that this chain, it's a line object, and the C node is making this line object into area object because it's an area. So it's a closed polygon, all right? It's a polygon right now with a C node, connecting node, this green point over there. Okay. Now, excuse me. Let me reiterate one more time that the objects can be point, other word is node, it can be line. In ENC editor in HiPAC, we use the name chain. And finally, there can be area object. So I want to show you how to create each type of the object here, all right? I don't want to, there are probably thousands of cartographic objects. Let me open up again this guy here. You can see there are so many objects here, so many cartographic features and objects and specials and all that stuff. I don't have time to explain all of them, of course. Unfortunately, it's out of the scope of our training. So I just want to show you some basic stuff here. So let's start with the simplest object. Let's say area object. I want to have area object at this Boca Island, all right? So let's create the Boca Island here as the area object. For this stuff, we go to the features and we create a new feature. So we're using this add feature icon over here. In the feature class, we tell the program what kind of feature class is it? Well, in most cases, it's just geo. Geo means that you want to see this feature on a chart, like geographical stuff, like geo object. It can be like island, or it's approaching channel, or harbor, or buoy, or some, I don't know, navigational line. So it's geographical stuff. We can see it on the chart. Then geometry, we tell the program, again, 3 basic types, point, line, and area. So we're gonna tell the program, okay, it's gonna be area feature. And if it's an island, actually it's land area. Every feature here in the list, when you click on it in the list, you can see the description. So we tried to make it a little bit easier for the customers, for the users to work with, like, okay, what is the incineration area? It's an offshore area officially designated as a suitable for the burning of chemical waste. Well, all right, land area. The solid portion of the Earth's surface as opposed to the sea or water. Let's see this Boca Island, it's land area, all right? So land area. After we pick up this stuff here, so it's a geo, it's area, do not mess. If it's gonna be area object, do not pick up line object. No, it's an area and land area. So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, create one. Now we got the land area feature. Now we need to get the special for this feature and merge them together, all right? So my next step is to create the special depicting this island. So to create the special, we can go ahead and create a special over here and create it from the spreadsheet, which I don't have. I have the chart here. I want to use the chart, so manually digitize these points here for this area special. But we're gonna use this icon over here, add chain. Let me talk about these icons over here. Well, undo, it's undo, so you can always go back one step, well, multiple steps, of course. Then display chart, it's displaying the features of the chart. Actually, it's display feature, but we still call it display chart for whatever reason. It's a feature to display features. We don't have any single feature yet, so we don't care about this guy at all, but it's present here. Now, I want to see the geometry. Geometry here means display specials. I don't know why we call it here geometry and chart. It's actually feature, display features, and display specials geometry. All right, let's press it. I want to see what am I creating right now. I'm going to create the chain special. All right, the next thing here, isolated node. It is a good tool to create the point object on a chart. Let's say boy. We're gonna use it later on. All right. So isolated node means individual point for feature, for point feature. Then connected node. Let's say you have one special, line special, and another line special, two line specials, and you want to connect them together to create, let's say, island. So you can add a connection node between those two chain ends and those two chain ends, all right? So we can use this guy to connect two chains into one. Now add a chain to create the line special, linear special. Well, we can connect two chains here. We can add a special to the feature, so we can link special to the feature. We can move some special. Let's say we digitized the chain of the island, but we want to move one of the nodes of this chain. So we can use this cursor and click on the chain on the node and move it. We can remove, let's say, a special. This one is a little bit more complicated. I will show you later on about this guy. So let's create a new chain. Add a chain. On the right side here on this panel, you can see done, cancel, and close it. So if you changed your mind, you decided you don't want to create a chain, you can cancel it and go back to the default cursor here. Now close it. I am going to create the area island, so area special. So close it is checked by default. If you just want to create the line, let's say navigational line, you need to uncheck this. So program will not connect first and last points in the nodes in the chain. Not now. Now I want to connect them. So I want to have area special. Now with the left click, I don't want to do very precise job. Again, you can always undo. You need to finish it and then undo. I don't want to be very precise. I'm just showing you the basic stuff. Of course, you may do a better precision. Now, I believe this island is not covering all the other area in S57 chart, which I created right now. This is not correct. My chart should actually cover all the land or see everything inside, right? So we don't have any information over here. This is bad. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move it over here outside of the chart. And let's say done. Now I have that feature, oh, sorry, feature. I have that special which extends outside of the chart limits. All right. Now I said there is an option here. Well, let's say move special. You can always use this tool here and move that special. So that you can change it actually. Let's say that's gonna be my island. I'm gonna use the default cursor here because I don't want to move my features. By the way, well, this is long waiting update for ENC editor. I have been asking the programmer to change the cursor. You can see like the cursor is still default shape. So you never know what you're doing right now. The cursor is always looking the same. So just be aware that when you finish it doing something here with these tools here, just select the default cursor, all right? Now, another thing, this blue stuff, double click on a chart, you will create this guy here. This is, I always forgot, where is it? Always forgot. This is marker. For whatever reason, there is a marker. I don't know the purpose of this marker, but double click, you always create this blue double cycle object on the chart, clear marker. Okay, so we got the special feature, special object, special area object, and we got feature as an area object. It's an island here. Where is my island? Oh, it's not here. Okay, I did undo. All right, so area, it's a land area. So now we got two types of objects, area of feature and area of special. I want to merge them together, all right? So to do so, I can pick up that feature from the list here. I can set the object name. Let's say it's a Boca Island. The scale maximum and scale minimum, these attributes for the feature. Some attributes are mandatory. So if you see mandatory attribute, it's a question mark. So you have to set it up in any case. So it's like necessary one, mandatory. If you don't see the question mark in the attribute properties here, it means that it's not necessary, it's not required. Well, of course, it's better to have, let's say, name of the object, right? You want to see Boca Island label on your island, so why not? I'm gonna set it up. Now, let's say textual description. You can describe this island. Let's say it's a low, marshy island, something like that. It's not necessary. There is no mandatory attributes for the land areas, no. Now, scale maximum and scale minimum. Sometimes you may, if you work it with S57 or any other ENC, you can see that when you zoom out, some objects disappear from the chart. So they have the scale minimum, scale maximum properties. So that when you zoom out, this object just goes away from the chart so that your chart is not oversaturated with unnecessary features when you zoom out. And again, when you zoom in, more and more objects can appear on the chart because you have bigger scale and you can see more clear, better object, more details, all right? So you can set up scale minimum and scale maximum for that purposes. I don't want to do that. So that's it. I just set up object name and I set up some description for this feature, all right? Now, for this land area feature, I go ahead for the references tab here. I make sure that my cursor is a default. Well, it's not default, it's called select. Now I left click on this chain of the special here. And you can see that my special has appeared in the clipboard, which I mentioned it in the first presentation, all right? So the clipboard. Now I can drag this chain from this clipboard, this chain special, and place it into the land area feature here, right? Now I can see this Boca Island. I can close this clipboard for now. Now that's the Boca Island. Let's do it again. So let me, you can always remove this feature reference. You can always remove the special from the feature. Yes. All right, so let me repeat it again. So for the land area, we set up the attributes. Now we go to references. I want to bring the reference, the special for this feature, right? So I'm using the select cursor tool here. Pick up to select this guy in the clipboard. So I'm copying this chain, this special into the clipboard, in the operative memory. And now I just left click and drag this chain into the references for the land area. And now it's here. Let me create some other land area, sorry, the area of feature. Let's see. Backup area. Okay, so let me create one more. So again, for the feature, backup area, I believe it's a built up area here. So for the backup area, it's an area. Built up area. An area containing concentration of buildings and the supporting road or rail infrastructure. Actually, it's kind of city, town, village. I believe that's not really built area, backup area. I don't know how can we call it? Ocean, contiguous zone. Dock area, no, I don't think so. Harbor area. I'm gonna call it again land area. It's gonna be land area for me right now. I don't know. You know better this chart, and in the future when you create the ENC, just see which one is more appropriate for you. All right. So I'm gonna call it again land area. In the name, I give it object name. We are creating another chain. Now, let me tell you this. The area must contain of the chain which is drawing clockwise. All right. So clockwise direction to close the polygon. Now, this time, let me make a mistake. I will create the chain going counterclockwise. So in the wrong direction. Okay, so this time I'm going to connect my points here in a wrong direction, counterclockwise. I finish it down. So that's my chain special. Well, to see it better, let me disable this background for now. Okay, I will enable it later on again. So that's my new special. I have picked it up. Now, please note the arrows here. So arrows show me the direction of this chain. So it's going in counterclockwise direction. So if I go ahead and pick up this reference for this land area and put it here, nothing happens. I do not see this area now. So where is my land area? I cannot display it because it violates the rule that the chain should go in clockwise direction. So to fix this, we can pick it up here from these references, and we can go to the editor over here, and we can change the orientation. Let's say it's a reverse. And now it's here. So it means that my chain special, actually area special, now it's appropriate to this feature. So it's closing polygon in the right direction, in this clockwise direction. All right. So you can always change the orientation of the chain if you see some problem over there. Okay. Now let me display this background chart again. Gentlemen, you have any questions so far? Oh, it's a container area. Okay, thank you very much, Rajesh. Well, we can change this. Can we change the feature? Sure. Let me repeat again. Let's pick up another area. This backup area. So third example of creating the area of feature. And as Mr. Rajesh Verma has mentioned, it's a container terminal, right? So let's create the feature of container terminal. So again, in the features tab in the browser here, we start with creating a new feature, add a feature. It's a line feature. Let's see if it has container terminal. No, it doesn't have. Harbor area. Well, harbor area actually it's the whole area here, so no, it's not harbor. Again, I don't want to spend half of the day looking for that feature which is describing the best this guy here. Let me just pick up again land area. Now, so I have another land feature, area feature, land area. In the attributes, we setting up the name. Well, it's backup. Now we're creating a new special for this one. All right, so we're using this little guy here, add chain, and left click to digitize this guy. You can always use scrolling to zoom in, zoom out. I'm doing very rough job. I don't want to do very precise things, of course. And then program will connect these points here when I click down. Right? Now, after that, I can actually go ahead. You can see that's my chain. And that's the true, well, it's not true, it's DXF stuff here. So we can use this move node, move special, and left click on this point here and change its location so that you can create more precise stuff here. Now, it's not very precise, but I do what I can. Okay, so when we're done, we created a special and we created a feature. Now I'm going to merge them together. So default cursor here, select cursor. I'm clicking those special here, which I just created. So it's in a clipboard. We can actually clear it. So we can clear clipboard. Let's say I have picked up wrong special here. That's a wrong one. So we can always clear it. Okay, this one is correct. All right. Now for this land area feature and having this chain in a clipboard, I go ahead here for the references tab here for the land area. And I left click and drag this chain from the clipboard into the land area reference here. It's here. Again, if you miss the orientation, let's say it's wrong, you can always go ahead here and fix it. Let's say orientation actually is forward. There we go. So that's the land areas, area features, sorry, area features. Now let's talk about the line feature. What line feature do we have here? What is this line here? Tagbirth. I think this kind of approaching channel or something, this guy, this black line. And that's like, I don't know, some margin here so that the vessel can still go to.
That is the approach channel, and the turning is the turning circle, Mundra.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Well, let me show you how to create the line feature. I will fake navigational line here. All right. So to create the line feature, we go to the features tab here in the browser here. We create a new feature, and it's going to be line feature. You can see a lot of line features. Let's say birth. So birth, line feature, birth as a line feature, it's just the line where the vessel is berthed into, right? So it's just a line. You can also actually have berth as area. So it's a rectangle, and you can berth as a line, sharing the same chain, let's say the same chain, the same special, all right? Let's say a navigational line. So it's a navigational line normally generated by extension of the strike line between two navigation aids towards the area of navigation of interest, let's say. Okay. In the attributes, we can tell the category. Again, each feature has so many possible attributes. Oh, there are questions. High tide line. Okay, the red one is high tide line. Thank you very much, I got it. And the black one is approaching channel. All right, thank you. I'm going to create navigational line over here. So let's say it's showing me the direction of navigation to go here, right? So category of navigational line here. Say it's a transit line. Orientation, let me see. It's hardly 306 degrees. Okay, 306 degrees. So orientation, 306. Status, well, it's permanent, for example. Anything else, I don't care. Now, it's gonna be a chain, but if I'm creating area line feature, sorry, line special, it's not gonna be closed because line is not closed. It has beginning and the end. So no connection between. So it's not closed. I disable this closed stuff here, so it's unpressed. And now we can create this guy. Done. Now that's the chain, which is not connected. So it means it's a line feature. It's going to be line special. We can always use this guy here, move special, and move, let's say, this guy. So we can always correct if we are wrong. Okay, we're done. So I'm using the select tool. I go ahead and pick up this line. And for this navigational lines feature, I go to the reference and left click and drag this chain from the special, from the clipboard to this line over here. Okay. So that's my navigational line. I cannot see it here because the special is covering this feature right now. But when we close the chart, when we see it in when we look at it in the main shell of Hypec, we should be able to see this navigational line. Let's say one more stuff. Container terminal. I believe this guy is the birth line over here. So let me create another one as a birth line. All right. It's line, it's birth line. And name it or number a place where a vessel is moved at a wharf. Okay, let's create the birth. Again, I'm creating the chain. Let's say it starts over here and ends over here. Done. Let me disable the chart, the background, so that we can see what we're doing. Okay, that's going to be a birth line. I'm using this select tool. That's my birth. I go ahead and create it. Now I can see the birth line. We can go to the attributes of this birth. And let's call it, I don't know, birth number 21. All right, so that's the birth. And let me create some point feature now. So let's see, there is green buoy. I think it's cylindrical buoy. This is the, I always forget. It's you should be clear to the right of this, right? So it's a left side lateral buoy. This is the southern cardinal buoy. It's cylindrical. Thank you. So let's create the cylindrical buoy or green buoy, so lateral buoy here. All right. So in the features, we go ahead and add a feature here. It's going to be a point feature right now. With the point features, if you have X and Y coordinate, you can type it here. So the program will create the feature with a fixed coordinate on it. You can do that. I don't want to do that. I will create it from the chart. I want to digitize it here. All right, so it's a point feature. It's a buoy. And it's a lateral buoy. A buoy used to indicate the port or starboard hand side of the route to be followed. They are generally used for well-defined channels, and I use it in conjunction with directional buoy edge. All right, so it's a lateral buoy. You can see, well, I'm really sorry, I misled you for the mandatory attributes. It's not the question mark anymore, it's M. So M means mandatory, so you have to set up this attribute. Otherwise, you will have question mark on a chart. So I was wrong, sorry. It's M. M means mandatory, so you have to set it up. Okay, so for the buoy, we need to set buoy shape. It's a cylindrical. So can. All right. Now category. I think India is in category A of ELR, right? So it's port hand letter mark. The color, it's a green boy. What else here? Object name. It doesn't have any name here, but let's say, usually it's a number. Anything else we can set up later. So we got the feature. We need to have the special for this boy. So in this case, it's gonna be isolated node. As I said, all the point specials, they are covered here as isolated nodes. So we click this guy and put this special here. You can see this little triangle here. Again, let me disable now this guy so that we can see what we're doing. You can eventually create unnecessary points. You know, it happens, like you click it once, you were not sure that you click it again. So you can have a lot of them. Well, you can undo. Okay, that's my boy. Well, it's special for the boy, it's not boy yet. All right, I want to disable this guy, the marker, because when you double click, you create a marker, which is, I don't know, I never use marker, but double click and you create marker. Nah, click marker. Okay, and undo. Okay, that's my boy. I'm using the select tool again so that when I left click, I do not create anything. I just select the special. So that's my boy. For the boy in the list here, in the features list here, we go to the references tab. And I left click and drag this isolated node special into the boy feature. Now that's my boy. Number 21. Well, it's a name. I fake it. It's not real. Okay, so that's a boy. Now let's see again this boy feature here in the DXF. It has a top mark. And I believe that this boy has a light on it. Does it? We can create a light if it's a Latin boy. Okay, so let me disable this guy. So it has this triangle pointed upward. All right. So for this boy, we need the top mark. Again, it's a new feature. We go ahead and create another feature. It's a point feature and it's a top mark. Again, it's the same reference over here, the same special for the top mark. Now you see the question mark. So mandatory attribute wasn't set for the top mark. So for this top mark here, we go to the attributes tab. And let's say color is not mandatory, so we don't have to set it up. What is mandatory? I don't see any mandatory. But the top mark day mark shape is what is described in the feature here, actually. So top mark day mark shape, double click on this attribute. And let's say it's a triangle cone. Cone, yeah, it's not triangle, it's a cone. Pointed up, so it's looking upward. All right. Now I got the top mark here. Nothing interesting here. Well, you can scale minimum here, but the only attribute which I like to see is the shape of this top mark. So it's going up. And as I said, there can be a light. So let's add a light here to this boy. So it's a light. Oops, missed it. Light. I go ahead to the references here for the light and pick up this guy. It's still in the browser, this isolated node special. So I just pick it up here. Now I can see the light, but I don't see any attributes for this light yet. So we need to set it up. Let's say color. Let's say it's a white color. It's yellow, but it's white. You can see the name W, white. All right, now light characteristics. Let's say it's a flashing lamp, right? Now we can see the attribute flashing white. Now we can set up the sector period. Let's say 2 seconds. I don't know. Well, 2 seconds is too much. 2 seconds. Now you can see the description of the slide. Flashing white 2-second period. All right. So I have set up the light parameters here. All right. I think that it is time for us to make a break. Let's say 15-minute break. So let's come back. My time is 9 o'clock. So let's come back at 9:15. Please calculate your time yourself. So let's see you in 15 minutes. There is, okay. And please let me know if you still following me. If I need to repeat something, I will talk after the break. I will continue talking about the point features. We will have a look at the line features and aerial features again, and we will continue. All right. So let me make a pause for the recording. Yeah. I hope you can still hear me. Can you? Yeah, I believe you can hear me now. No screen. Okay, let me start screen sharing. All right, now you should be able to see my screen. Oh, and it's recording. Good. Now let me mute you. All right, let's continue. So, gentlemen, during our last session, I stopped at the point feature creation. Let me continue. Let me create one more point just to show you another example of this guy here. Now, I believe it's 12:45 for you, right? It's almost, well, it's 15 minutes before 1 o'clock for you. At what time do you normally have the lunch break? Please let me know. Okay, then I propose that we will have another session to 1:30. So it's gonna be a shorter session, so like 45 minutes, okay? And then I will let you have a lunch break for 1 hour, and we will continue after lunch then. All right, is that fine? Good. Now let me see. 9:30, это у вас час в 2, 10:30, окей, 10:30. Thank you. So we will have a break in 1 hour, 10 minutes, all right? So that's going to be a shorter session. Then we have 1 hour break and we will continue another 2 hours after break, okay? So let's go on. Another point, I want to create one more point feature. So I go ahead and display the background chart so that I can see where should I create another point feature. And I see this boy here. Well, they are different. Okay, so let's create another point feature over here as a boy. So again, new feature. It's a point feature. It's a boy. And this time it's a cardinal boy. So let me create a cardinal boy. No, it's not beacon, it's boy cardinal. As you see, it has the top mark figure. So I just create a top market for this one. And immediately I'm creating light feature. So again, in ENC editing stuff, in cartographic creation stuff, let's say one special can have multiple features on it, right? Like in previous example, and in this example, we have one special, 1 point special, but we have 3 cartographic feature on top of this one special, and vice versa. One feature can share multiple specials on it. For example, the birth line and birth area and harbor area can share the same chain as a special, right? So 2 possible options, like one feature can have multiple specials and one special can have multiple features, right? So this special, this point special, will have 3 features on it: boy, top mark, and light. Where's my light? Yeah. Now I'm creating one isolated node with this guy, add isolated node. It's going to be here. I can see this blue triangle. I would use this select tool now. Now I can pick up this new isolated mode from the screen here. It's in a browser now. And now I just go ahead for boy, for top mark, and for light. I will just quickly refer them to this special. So for the boy, I go to the references tab, and while my node is still in the clipboard, I just left click and drag. You can see the boy shape is not set up yet. I do the same for top mark, and I do the same for the light. So now I created 3 features for the same special on it. All right. Now I need to set up the attributes for each feature here. So boy cardinal, I go to the attributes tab. And again, mandatory, I need to fill it up for sure. So boy shape, I think it's still can. Now it's, what is it? It's southern, okay, south cardinal boy. Color, well, I don't care, maybe it's black, I don't know, black and white. Color pattern, I don't care. Object name, let's say it's, I don't know, birth, approaching channel, I don't know, approaching channel. Whatever name you want to see here. Anything else, I don't care. No more mandatory stuff here. For the top mark, I would set the color of the top mark. Let's say it's yellow. Now it's ILA A, top mark shape. It's 2 coins pointing down. Point. 2 coins point to point. 2 coins point downward. Yeah, that's it. I believe that's enough for the top mark and the light. Well, it's nothing here, so I don't care about this color. Let's say it's, I don't know, it's a yellow light. Light parameters, characteristic, let's say it's isophased. All right, let it be just flash and light. Sector limit, no, it's sector period. Let's say 1 second. Cool. So it's flashing every second. All right, so I have set up another cartographic object. I set up the buoy. So my buoy consists of one node, one special, it's a point special, and it consists of 3 features. So buoy shape, top mark figure, and the light, if there is any light on the buoy. All right, so we got another point feature here. Okay, so that's actually the basics of creating different features in ENC editor. I think I would go ahead, continue with the chart itself, and after the lunch, we will go one more time through all the steps, all right? So I will reiterate again. But now let me continue with the next step. So we have the chart. Let us save it first. So in the browser, we go back to charts and let's save it up. When we save S57 chart, it has this 000 extension, and S57 chart can be stored anywhere in your computer. It is better, of course, to save it in your project folder and also have a backup copy, let's say in my document, so that you can share this chart with any projects you have. So it's a good idea to keep it somewhere safe. And its name, technically speaking, it should be the same name. Let me go back to, I believe, in identification, as dataset name you set here. So when I save it, I should actually name it as the same way. So it's India, Adani, 2021 in this example. So I am saving this chart. Now let us close it down, this editor. Now we got the chart here. Let me disable everything here. And it's a background chart. There we go. Well, that's very simple one. Not much objects here right now. By the way, well, it's later, okay. So now we got the background chart, and let's say the next lesson, how to incorporate the soundings which you made into existing S57 chart, and also how to incorporate the contours, the depth contours into the S57 chart. So 2 things which I want to talk about. So let's start with the soundings. When you incorporate your soundings into S57 chart, you still may keep in mind that you need to reduce your soundings. Let's have a look at the soundings which you have provided to me, the soundings. And let's see, they have like 30 meters between the soundings, right? Our chart is 1,000, oh, sorry, it's 10,000 scale, right? It's 10,000 scale chart. So it means that we have 100 meters in 1 centimeter. And usual rule of thumb is like my sounding labels on the chart should have distance like half a centimeter as maximum, no, minimum. So it may be more, but not less than 50 meters right now. So I need to sort this data to 50 meters to place them into S57 chart, at least 50 meters, maybe 100. It depends, all right? So I'm gonna sort out this data first. I'm using the sort. I'm a cartographer, so I'm go ahead and create a minimum soundings data set for the S57 chart for me. You may use mapper, of course, and select average or, I don't know, middle points, but I'm gonna have a cartographic data set. Cartographic data set means minimum number, minimum soundings, all right? So I'm using this 25 meters XYZ file, and I'm gonna sort it to 50 meters. Let's save it as 50 minimum. All right, So I sorted out my data. So I got 50 meters between them. And next thing that I want to do, I want to create contours and import these contours, bathymetric contours, into S57 chart. All right. So the contours, we use in team model. I'm creating the contours based on the final data set, which I'm going to use in S57 chart. So it's sorted data file for me to create contours. Team max height, well, it's 50 meters right now between my soundings, so probably 75 should be sufficient. Let's check it out. No, it's not. All right. So maybe 100. 100 is not enough. No. 115. All right. So this will be contours. So it's the same procedure. I believe you're already familiar how to create contours in the HiTech. So far it's the same stuff. So to the contours, we can filter out the contours. Let's say I want to create the contours with some smoothing. Let's say minimum leg 15 and minimum area, let's say 250 square meters. Probably it's too small number, but let's see. And for ENC, I want to create not just contour lines, but I also want to include the few area between my contours so that I can display the different colors for the different steps of the relief, all right? So I'm including contours and also solid area. Now the step depends on the relief, of course. I believe this relief here is quite, common, even, because it's a harbor. So maybe 1 meter step should be enough. Let's check the attributes. No, it's gonna be too much contours. No, all right. So let's say maybe 2 meters. Still too much. All right. Okay, let's say 5 meters probably. 5 meters. Okay, I'm gonna use 5 meters contour step between the contours. All right. Now, for normal process, I believe that you are setting up the labels, right? And set up this distance between your labels and all that stuff. For S57 chart, there are no contour labels. All right, please keep it in mind. No labels for S57 chart contours. So do not do that. No. I'm just checking this stuff here. Nothing. Well, we can stress out some of the contours, but it's not used in ENC editor, so I don't care about that. So no labels. Let's say it's 5 meters contours for ENC. Remember that we do not use labels here for ENC. Let's preview it. Probably I would remove the small contours over there, right? So let me increase a little bit here, say 500. Yeah, I removed some of them, but still there are some, but all right, that's good, that's okay. So we got the contours, this one, and we got the soundings, all right? Now, we can open the existing S57 chart, which is here in ENC editor by just double clicking on this chart in the list here. So you don't have to go to final products, open chart. No, you just double click on the chart, an S57 chart in the project manager, right? Okay, so we open the chart. And to import the data, we can go ahead on the processing. Is it on the processing? No. On the ENC, import. So this is the way we can actually import some of the information into S57 chart. if you have ArcGIS SHE files, shape files, you can actually import shape files from ArcGIS. You can import targets. For example, you made some targets for the boys location. You can import your targets files, sorry, and digitize them and create the features out of the targets, all right? So let's just use import. And program is looking for DXF charts. You can import XYZ, DXF. So let's start with the XYZ. I want to import my soundings first, all right? So XYZ type. Well, XYZ should be in the sort folder of the project. And that's my XYZ file. You can see this new tab in the object browser here. It's called import file. So program is giving you option here. What do you want to do with this imported data? Right now it's XYZ file. You can see the points with the labels. If it's an XYZ, you can use auto conversion tool here in the import file tab. And you can import XYZ as soundings, let's say soundings feature into S57 chart. Now this import file has nothing inside because we already imported each of the points as sounding. So we can close down this import file tab. We don't need it anymore. Now on the browser, we can see the sounding feature here. It's single feature, but it's sharing multiple specials in it. So it's the same single feature, but a lot of specials inside. As I said, in ENC editing, you may have one feature, a lot of specials on it, and vice versa. You can have one special, a lot of features on it, like with the board. Now, for the soundings, we have a reference, these S nodes. Now you can see S57 soundings here. All right, for the attributes for the, I don't think we have mandatory attributes for the soundings feature, but we can tell the program, okay, quality of sound and measurement, depth known. If you survey this area, if you are certain about the quality of the data, you can tell the program depth known. So category ZOC, zone of confidence, A, depth known. You know that depth, you measured it, right? Now sounding accuracy, you can say it's accurate within 10 centimeters. Technique of sound, found by multi-beam. I believe this data from multi-beam system, right? So found by multi-beam. Vertical datum. If I'm not mistaken, it was lowest low water, right, Mr. Verma? I believe it's lowest low water. Well, you can scale minimum. I believe scale minimum is what I want. Let's say 5,000. Now you can see. So I need to zoom in more than 5,000 to see these features, right? This is quite convenient. Well, I would set it to 10,000 still, because 10,000 is my scale of the chart. But be aware that when you use the scale minimum feature, when you zoom out, you may lose this feature from the screen and you will think like, oh, I'm missing my feature. No, it's scale minimum. Many charts, they have that scale minimum attribute for different features, all right? If you clear it, a program will just disable that attribute, all right? So it doesn't matter what my zoom is, I still see the feature, right? So that's the soundings. You cannot edit individual points now because that's the same feature actually. So there is no possibility to change individual sounding, individual depth, no. So you need to clear your soundings before you import them into, and you need to sort them out, of course, before you import these soundings into S57 chart. Now it's a feature here. You cannot do anything here. You cannot cut it. You cannot move the specials. You cannot edit the label. You cannot edit the depth here. No, it's here. It's done. You can delete all the feature. Remove feature. Okay. Now, next step, contours. I want to go ahead and import contours from DXF into my S57 chart. All right. So again, ENC import. It's going to be DXF with the contours. If my contours were created in teen model, and if this contours doesn't have labels, so it doesn't have, they do not have breaks between lines, because the contour should be actually closed polyline, right? So if it doesn't have any breaks inside, so no labels, that's why we do not use labels in the teen model. I can just go ahead and use auto conversion here and teen import. Yes, you can import multiple XYZ files here. Yes, that's true. That's correct. All right. So if my contours following these rules, like they created in teen model, they do not have breaks, so they do not have labels, you can actually go ahead for auto conversion. So auto conversion, teen import, done. Nothing else you need to do. So I just close in this import file dialog here, tabs here. Now I got a lot of depth areas. All these depth areas based on our contours. So depth area, let's see this first one. It's the deepest one, as you can see. It's from 20 meters and deeper, right? Let's see, where is it? How do I see my reference? Can I zoom into this feature? I believe I can, using this zoom feature. That's a very little one here, okay? This one you can delete. If you don't need to see this contour, this depth area here, actually, you can delete it. Let's say I don't need this one. Remove that feature, yes. Now there is a gap. Not good. All right, undo. Now the next one. So these features, they are different features, all right? So this one, it's another 20 meters and deeper area. I believe it's somewhere here, maybe. It's over here. And so on and so forth. So that's our contours here. So that's the way we import the soundings and the contours into S57 chart. Now we can go back to charts here and save our chart. Now you can see that these charts, the contours, I mean, the contours go away outside of the chart limits, which is not good. It violates the rule of ENC charts. ENC chart should have all the features only within the boundaries. If anything goes outside, that's not good. That's not valid for fully acceptable ENC chart. So in this case, I actually need to clip this data first using border tool. You know, in teen model, you can use the border tool to clip your data. The same with soundings. You may need to clip your soundings so that they do not extend outside of the chart limit. So this is not really correct. You need to clip this data first so that they are within the boundary of the chart, all right? Otherwise, it's not valid. Well, it's still working. I can still use this chart as a background chart in HiPACK. I can use it in final products like printing on the paper and all that stuff, but this is not really valid. So you need to remove this tail outside of the chart limit. All right? Now let's see. So I have that chart. Let's close down ENC editor. So instead of the contours and XYZ data, we got this chart over here with the soundings. The soundings, you can reduce the soundings even more. As I said, for this 10,000 scale, 50 meters was minimum required distance between soundings, but you may have more soundings, or sorry, more distance between soundings. So you can sort out, let's say 100 meters so that you see more sparse soundings in your chart. Now let me switch this motor to GG. Now let's play a little bit with the options here. Here, you can see this is the shallow contour and some other contour. Let me check the settings here. Settings for the charts. Let me show it like this. Okay. Okay. So let's say shallow contour is 10 meters right now, right? So that you can see that the shallow contour is displayed with a green cover. Well, we can increase it. Oh no, sorry, I'm sorry. I believe that the shallow contour is this guy, so blue color. Yes, that's correct. Dark blue color is my shallow contour. Let's say I want to have it at 15 meters. All right. Now you can see that my shallow contour is extended. Now it's showing me this 15 meters and shallow with the dark blue color. And safety depth. Let's say I want to have my safety depth at 10 meters. Now you can see that this depth is shallower than this. It is displayed with the stressed black bold font so that you can see that this is dangerous area to go. All right. If you set it to 0, I believe everything would be bold. Oh no. It's so this unstressed color. All right, so these are actually not safe depths here right now. All right, now safety contour. Let's say I want to have my shallow contour from 5 meters and shallower, and my safety contour set to 15. Now you can see that this greenish color is showing me the deeper area, and the greenish and the bluish color is showing me the shallower area, and this dark blue color is showing you these shallows. So that's the options you can play with in S57 chart and HiPACK to set up the colors for different contours, for different safety contours. All right. And actually the green, it's land. It's way it's shallower than 0 depth. So these are negative depths here. So it shows you the land when you reduce your soundings to the chart data. Okay. So that's the way to manipulate with the colors over there. That's a good question. Mr. Arvind Gupta is asking if soundings will be in black color. Yes, ENC, in any ENC, you will see soundings not colored. They all the same black color. Well, it can be grayish, as I said. You can set this shallow depth so that the deeper depths would be grayish, but yeah, it's not covered. ENC chart doesn't have this red, all this color table. It's not applicable for ENC, though there is an option. Let me show you that option here. So it should be black. It's a rule. But for the colors, there is a color scheme. So S52, remember I mentioned it at the beginning, S52, let's say. No, I believe it should be somewhere here, or maybe here, I don't remember. S52, yes. You can read about this color stuff and like point symbols and complex line styles and area patterns. You can read all the information about these styles and patterns here. But what I want to say that instead of standard S57, well, S52 color scheme, we can use Bathi blue. So it's a little bit different. Again, it's only contours. Depth is always, well, the label of the depth is always black in S57 in ENC. Red, yellow, green. This is more easy to understand, so it's more visual. Now green is safe, so deep contours. Yellow is caution, and red is danger, right? So it's shallower. Let me show it again here. Okay, there it is. So 5 is the danger, safety is 15, and well, deep contour is 60 right now. Well, if you set it, let's say, to 20, and now let's see where is my deep color. Why don't I see? Ah, it's shallow. Okay, it's this one. Why don't I see it? Huh. Interesting. So it doesn't display the differences here. Why? I want to see different color here. Let me go back to S52. This guy is displaying these different colors. So red, yellow, green has only 3 color options. Okay. So well, I get used to this color scheme, S52, because it's a standard one. And all the others, they are just, some customers ask it for this too. I prefer to use the standard ones. All right. So that's the color stuff a little bit about this. And I would say not the last thing, but let's open this chart again in the ENC editor. As you can see, this ENC editor doesn't keep the settings of the Hypex shell. So it still displays the default stuff here. We can set up this here in the same way. You can see shallow contour is 10, safety contour is 30, deep contour is 60. So it's showing the default settings here. We may change it also here. Like it was 5 meters, I believe. The safety was 15, and the deep was deeper than 20, which is not correct actually. And the safety depth, let's say I want to see 20. All right. So I'm seeing almost the same as in the shell. Now we have these guys here. Full sector lights, show soundings, information boxes, and text display groups. You can mingle with these guys here. let's say I don't want to see the soundings. So I don't see the sounding labels. I can see the contour labels, but no soundings. Now, visual quality of data. Let me disable soundings so that we can see. That's a zone of confidence, which I mentioned, ZOC. So since I set up to category A of the zone of confidence, so it means that my soundings, I'm fully responsible for them. I know the accuracy and I stand for this quality. Then I can assign this maximum quality for this data set. So it named it visual quality of data. So you can disable them. Now, if you have updates to S57 chart, like base chart is 000 extension, but you may have update, like first update is gonna be 001, the second one would be 002, and so on and so forth. You can tell the program to constantly update base chart with the new updates available for you. This is always check it for me because I want to update my base chart with the new additions, all right? Now, there was a question by Mr. Arvind Gupta. If you can switch the display of the labels of the soundings to colors, yes, you can. Technically, you can. There is an option. Hyperx sounding display. Let me display soundings first. Now you can see them in the same way as Hyperx shows the colors, right? This is not recommended because in ENC, you never see the colored soundings. So I'd never recommend to use it. But since you get used to Hyperx sounding colors, you may switch to display Hyperx sounding display, right? So you can do that, which is not recommended. Now you can hide extra contours. Now you may miss some of the contours, which you don't see. You can see this guy here. So this means that if we have this some additional contours between 5 and 15, like 10 meters, it's not safety, it's not shallow, it's none of them. So you can hide them. This 10-meter contour here, right? So you can disable them. Okay. Now my chart is more heavy because color soundings, they actually makes my CPU is loaded because it needs to redraw my screen using these colors for the labels. So it takes a little bit more response time right now when I'm zooming in and zooming out. So it's better for me to go back and set up display options for the default thing here. No, I don't want to use this guy. It's loading my CPU. You can see it's faster. All right. So there are a few weak options here. Now, next thing here. Well, you can display XY grid. Like I want to plot a coordinate grid. Or you can plot the projection grid, X and Y, instead of flat line. This is quite handy if you digitize in the points and you want to see some reference of X and Y or lat long, whatever you used to. Now, zoom to compilation scale. This is very nice because sometimes, you know, your chart, especially chart accuracy, depends on the chart scale. Like in paper charts, they say that accuracy of the chart is one pin, is a pin size. So let's say it's a 1/10 of millimeter, I believe, 0.1 of millimeter. So base it on a scale. Let's say our chart is 10,000 scale. So it's 100 meters in centimeters. So 10 meters in 1 millimeter. So my accuracy is 1 meter for this chart, right? So plus minus 1 meter is still within the chart accuracy. But if you have, let's say, 1 million chart, 1 million scale chart, the accuracy would be, I believe, 100 meters. So depending on the chart scale, you will have a different chart accuracy. Now, let's say zoom compilation scale. I want to see my chart at the full zoom. That's my compilation scale. So all the accuracy is within 1 pin. It's like, I don't know, 1 meter. It's very small to see, but again, it's over there. So when you right click and move cursor, you can see the distance, by the way, and the bearing, so that you can know how do you drag, how far away do you drag. And the processing. There is a quick way to remove all the soundings you added to the chart, this feature, that soundings feature, and also depth and contours. Let's say you have mistakenly picked up wrong XYZ file for the soundings, you can clear it. Well, soundings and depths and contours, you have cleaned it up. There is an undo, so you can move it back. Remove orphans. That's a good tool. I will talk a little bit about this a little bit later, okay? You can combine all the soundings. Like there was a question, if you can import multiple XYZ files here. Yes, you can. And in this case, you will have multiple sounding features. Let's see right now, there is only one sounding feature, I believe. Let's set it to feature name. And it's over here. It's only one feature sounding because it's only single XYZ file. But if you import multiple XYZ files, you will have multiple sounding features. So you can tell the program to combine all the features into one feature, name it sounding. Now, you can export this data to EDXF. We will go there later on. Now, validate the chart. Chart validator, it was added into our editor by request of US Corps of Engineer, because they need to validate the chart so that the charts are following the requirement of ENC of S52. So I can validate my features, my specials, if the geometry of my specials is correct. And if we have any metadata, we don't have. So I don't care about metadata for now. All right. And the options, you can tell the program how to fix existing problems. Let's say orphan feature. What to do with the orphan feature? Delete it. What is orphan? Orphan means that there is a feature, but there is no special for the feature. All right. So the feature is missing special. As I said, both of them should be actually together to form a cartographic object. So if any feature is missing special, it's an orphan. It doesn't have special, right? And vice versa. If my special is missing a feature assigned to it, it's gonna be orphan special. So you can tell the program just to delete it automatically if there are any orphans. I don't want to do that. Now, delete orphan collection, it's for metadata. If there is no feature for the feature references, like again, if there is a special missing for the feature, the program can delete that one. I don't want to do anything automatically. I want to show you manual stuff. So let's go. No problems. I don't have any orphans. I don't have any special problems. I don't have any bad stuff here. So my features, my specials, they are all good. But let's say I have an orphan special here. Please keep in mind that display geometry is better to check as well as the features. Otherwise, you may disable the features from the chart. And the same for the geometry. I do not see my special, which I just created. It's over there, all right? So let's say I have some orphan specials, and let's say I have an orphan feature. So feature without special reference to it. Let's create some orphan feature. Point, yeah, I create point. Let's say beacon. So beacon doesn't have any reference, it's orphan. Now, when we process this stuff, when we validate the chart, it tells me where is it. let's say this guy feature is an orphan. So my beacon is actually an orphan right now. I can tell the program, okay, suggestions, delete it. Well, I don't want to delete it. I want to see what the problem is, and I want to fix it other way. So auto fixing, auto correction is not very good for me. I don't like it because I don't want to delete this feature. I know that this feature should be in my chart, and I just want to fix it. I want to find the special for that feature, right? So for this stuff, I think yeah, it should go automatically to that stuff here in the browser. So when I double click on this guy, it shows me where is it in the browser. So that's my beacon. And I know that it's missing some stuff. So let's say it's here. I need to fix this guy with this reference here. So I can pick up here. Oops, sorry, I'm still continuing doing this, guys. All right, let's see. Select tool. There is a beacon over here. I need to assign my special to my beacon. All right. Let's say it's beacon tower. Let's say it's north cardinal beacon, whatever. White and black stripes. It's stripes, let's say diagonal stripes. You don't see it in the shape. No, it doesn't display that stuff. And object name. Now, if I continue checking this stuff, so I made it my special and feature, and now they are not in the list. So this is very good to validate your chart. So this option is quite nice when you create anything. Gentlemen, do you still hear me well? Can you still see my screen well?
Yes, sir. We are seeing your screen.
Thank you. Okay. Now this guy, I don't need it. This special here, I don't need it. All right. So I can tell the program, okay, options, delete orphans here. Oops, how do I need to do that? Okay. How do I do that? Autocorrect. Down. Go. No, it doesn't want to correct it. Okay, I will delete it from here. So as I said, I don't like autocorrection. It doesn't do very good job. It's a very good tool to validate your chart so that you don't have all these missing features and special. But if you find one, just correct it. Now another thing here. So let's save it, the chart. Let's save it something else. Okay, so my chart is named as delete me 000. But let's see, my identification for this guy is IN Adani 2021. Though they should match, but they not right now. So if I validate my chart, it doesn't tell me it's not correct. Let me display all this stuff here then. It should tell me that this is not correct. No? That is strange. Actually, this is a mistake. This dataset name and name of the chart file itself, they actually should match. So this is what I was about to tell. No, it should not be like delete me. It should have the same name on there, right? So right now, that's my S57 chart with some features on it. Now, well, we finished it a little bit earlier. I don't want to continue right now. I suggest that we have How much time do you need for the lunch? 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour? Please let me know, gentlemen. And we will have a lunch break. Half an hour is enough for me, but I'm asking you. $30 minutes. Okay. Then I suppose that we will have 30 minutes break and we will continue in 30 minutes. Then I will probably take maximum 2 hours from you, maybe even less, just to go one more time over all the cycle of operations. All right. So please have a lunch break, enjoy your lunch, and I'll talk to you in half an hour. Thank you for your attention as always, and I talk to you in half an hour. Let me stop. Stop recording.